What in the
Marcus
world
Reed
are you
stood in his
doing?
home office at 2 in the morning, staring at
Can't handle
12
it when he
small
cries like
boxes
this.
lined up on his
Give him to
desk.
me.
Security cameras. The latest model with night vision, motion detection, two-way audio, and cloud storage. He'd spent $3,000 on a surveillance system for his own home, and the irony wasn't lost on him. Before we begin this shocking story of hidden truths, betrayal, and discoveries that changed everything, please take a moment to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. Your support means the world to us and helps us bring you more incredible stories. And we'd love to hear from you. Comment below and tell us where you're watching from. Now, let's dive into this unforgettable tale. Marcus picked up one of the cameras, turning it over in his hands. 6 months ago, he never would have imagined doing this, spying on the people in his own home. But 6 months ago, everything had been different. 6 months ago, his wife Jessica had still been alive. The grief hit him in waves even now. Jessica had died suddenly from a brain aneurysm, collapsing in their kitchen while making breakfast. One moment she'd been laughing at something on her phone, and the next she was gone. Their daughter Lily had been only 3 months old. Marcus had been destroyed. He'd buried himself in work at first, spending 18-hour days at his tech company, trying to outrun the pain. But he couldn't outrun his responsibilities. He had a baby daughter who needed him, who'd lost her mother before she was old enough to remember her. That's when Vanessa had entered his life. Vanessa Chen was 32, beautiful, sophisticated, and had seemed heaven-sent. She'd been a friend of Jessica's from college, not a close friend, but someone who'd reached out after the funeral to offer condolences. She'd started visiting regularly, bringing meals, offering to help with Lily, just being present during the darkest period of Marcus's life. Slowly, carefully, she'd become indispensable. She was good with Lily, patient and gentle. She helped manage the household staff. She organized Jessica's belongings when Marcus couldn't bear to touch them. She was there, consistently, when Marcus felt like he was drowning. And somewhere in that grief and gratitude, Marcus had fallen for her. Or thought he had. Looking back now, he wasn't sure what he'd felt. Relief, maybe. Gratitude, certainly. The comfort of not being alone. Whatever it was, 8 months after Jessica's death, he'd proposed to Vanessa. She'd said yes immediately, tears in her eyes, telling him she'd loved him from afar for years, that she'd always thought he and Jessica were perfect together but had secretly wished she could be in Jessica's place. It should have been a red flag. Who says something like that? But Marcus had been too grief-stricken, too lonely, too desperate for something to feel right again to see the warning signs. The wedding was planned for 3 months from now. Vanessa had moved into the mansion, into the master bedroom that had been Marcus and Jessica's, though Marcus had insisted on completely redecorating it first. She'd taken over managing the household staff, including Rosa Martinez, the housekeeper who'd been with the family for 5 years. And that's where the problems had started. Rosa had worked for Marcus and Jessica since before Lily was born. She was 58, a grandmother herself, efficient and trustworthy. Jessica had loved Rosa, had trusted her completely with their home and eventually with their baby. But Vanessa didn't like Rosa. She'd made that clear from the beginning. She's too old-fashioned, Vanessa had complained. She doesn't follow my instructions properly. She's always questioning my decisions about the household. Marcus, I think we need to replace her. Marcus had been reluctant. Rosa had been loyal to Jessica, and keeping her on staff felt like maintaining a connection to his late wife. But Vanessa had been persistent. I'm going to be your wife, she'd said. This will be my home too. I need staff I can work with, who respect my authority. Rosa undermines me constantly. The final straw, according to Vanessa, had come 2 weeks ago. Vanessa claimed she'd found Rosa going through their bedroom drawers, looking through personal items. When confronted, Rosa had supposedly been defensive and rude. She was probably looking for things to steal, Vanessa had insisted. Marcus, I don't feel safe with her in the house. Especially not around Lily. Who knows what she might do? Marcus had been skeptical. Rosa had never given any indication of dishonesty in 5 years. But Vanessa had been so upset, so insistent, that he'd finally agreed to install security cameras throughout the house. We'll catch her in the act, Vanessa had said. Then you'll see I'm right about her. So here Marcus was at 2 in the morning, preparing to install surveillance in his own home. He felt guilty about it. It seemed like a violation of Rosa's privacy, an accusation without evidence. But he told himself it was just temporary, just to resolve the situation one way or another. He'd install the cameras tomorrow while Vanessa took Lily to a doctor's appointment and Rosa was off running errands. He'd position them carefully: living room, kitchen, nursery, hallways, even the master bedroom. Everywhere except bathrooms, because he wasn't a complete monster. The cameras would record everything, upload to cloud storage, and send him alerts for unusual activity. If Rosa was really going through their things, stealing, or doing anything inappropriate, he'd have proof. And if she wasn't, he'd have evidence to show Vanessa that her suspicions were unfounded. What Marcus didn't expect was what the cameras would actually reveal. The installation took most of the next day. Marcus was meticulous, hiding the cameras in smoke detectors, alarm clocks, picture frames, anywhere they'd be invisible to the casual observer. By the time Vanessa and Lily returned from the doctor, the system was fully operational and completely hidden. How did the appointment go? Marcus asked, taking Lily from Vanessa's arms. His daughter, now 11 months old, smiled at him, reaching for his face with her chubby hands. She was the image of Jessica, with the same dark hair and bright eyes. Looking at her was both painful and beautiful. Fine, Vanessa said dismissively. Just routine vaccinations. She cried, of course. I swear, sometimes I think there's something wrong with her. She cries so much more than normal babies. Marcus frowned. All babies cry, Vanessa. She's teething. I suppose, Vanessa said, but her tone suggested she didn't really believe it. She'd never seemed entirely comfortable with Lily, Marcus had noticed. She was patient enough, went through the motions of care, but there wasn't the warmth he remembered Jessica having, the natural maternal affection. But Marcus told himself he was being unfair. Not everyone bonded with babies immediately. Vanessa was trying. She'd stepped into a difficult situation, becoming an instant mother to someone else's child. He needed to give her time. That evening, after Lily was in bed and Vanessa had retired early claiming a headache, Marcus sat in his office and pulled up the camera feeds on his computer. 12 different views of his house, all streaming live. He felt like a voyeur in his own home. He watched Rosa moving through the kitchen, cleaning up after dinner. Her movements were efficient, familiar. She knew this house intimately after 5 years. Marcus watched her pause by a framed photo of Jessica that sat on the kitchen counter, touching it gently with a sad smile. The gesture was tender, affectionate, not the behavior of someone who was stealing or plotting. Over the next few days, Marcus found himself checking the camera feeds obsessively. During meetings, late at night, early in the morning. He told himself he was looking for evidence of Rosa's alleged theft or snooping. But really, he was looking for reassurance that everything in his home was normal, that he could trust the people he'd allowed into his life. What he saw was mostly mundane. Rosa doing her work with quiet efficiency. Vanessa on her phone constantly, scrolling through social media, shopping online, video chatting with friends. Lily playing in her nursery, napping, crying when she was hungry or tired or uncomfortable. Nothing suspicious. Nothing worrying. Until the 4th day. Marcus was in a board meeting, half listening to quarterly projections, when his phone buzzed with a motion alert from the nursery camera. He glanced at it, probably just Lily waking from her nap. But something made him excuse himself and step outside to check. He pulled up the feed and felt his blood run cold. Vanessa was in the nursery with Lily. The baby was crying, the kind of tired, frustrated crying that babies do when they're ready for a nap but fighting sleep. Normal crying. The kind that required patience and soothing. But Vanessa wasn't soothing her. She was standing over the crib, her face twisted with irritation, and she was... Marcus had to rewind the footage to make sure he was seeing correctly. Vanessa had roughly grabbed Lily's arm, yanking the baby into a different position in the crib. Then she'd leaned down close to Lily's face and hissed, "Shut up. Just shut up already. God, you're so annoying." Marcus felt sick. He watched as Vanessa stormed out of the nursery, leaving Lily crying alone in her crib. The baby's wails grew more desperate, But Vanessa didn't return. Marcus's hands were shaking. He switched to the hallway camera and saw Vanessa go into the master bedroom and close the door. He checked the bedroom feed. Vanessa was on her phone, scrolling casually, completely ignoring the sounds of Lily crying. 20 minutes passed. Lily cried the entire time, increasingly distressed. Marcus was about to leave the building and rush home when he saw Rosa appear on the nursery camera. "Oh, me bebita," Rosa said softly, immediately going to the crib and picking up Lily. "Where is your mama? Why has she left you crying like this?" Rosa held Lily close, swaying gently, murmuring soothing words in Spanish and English. Gradually, the baby's cries subsided. Rosa checked her diaper, saw it needed changing, and carried her to the changing table. "There we go, sweetheart," Rosa said as she worked. "Fresh diaper, then maybe a bottle, yes? You're hungry, I think. And tired. Poor little one." Marcus watched Rosa's gentle, practiced care with a mixture of relief and growing horror. This was normal childcare, responsive, attentive, kind. What Vanessa had done was, he didn't even have words for it. He saved the footage, created a backup, and tried to return to his meeting. But he couldn't focus. All he could think about was Vanessa's face twisted with disgust, her rough handling of Lily, her casual cruelty toward a baby who couldn't defend herself. That evening, Marcus came home early. Vanessa seemed surprised but pleased to see him. "You're home early. I'm just about to give Lily her dinner. Want to help?" Marcus watched Vanessa carefully as she prepared Lily's food in the kitchen. She seemed perfectly normal, cheerful, affectionate even. She picked Lily up from her high chair and bounced her gently, smiling. "There's my sweet girl," Vanessa cooed. "Are you hungry? Let's get some food in this tummy." Marcus felt confused. This was the Vanessa he knew, patient, caring, appropriate. Had he imagined the harshness he'd seen on the camera? Had the angle distorted what was really happening? But no. He'd seen what he'd seen. Vanessa had been rough with Lily, had told her to shut up, had left her crying alone for 20 minutes. "Vanessa," Marcus said carefully, "how was Lily today? Any problems?" "Oh, she was fussy for a while this afternoon," Vanessa said lightly. "Teething, I think. But Rosa got her settled down. That woman does have a way with babies, I'll give her that." The casual lie was delivered so smoothly that Marcus almost missed it. Vanessa was pretending she'd been aware of Lily's crying, had known Rosa had handled it. She wasn't mentioning that she'd been the one to make Lily cry, that she'd ignored her for 20 minutes. Marcus's suspicions solidified into certainty. Something was very wrong here. Over the next week, Marcus watched the camera feeds with new eyes. And what he saw made his blood run colder each day. Vanessa's behavior toward Lily was shockingly different when she thought no one was watching. When Marcus or Rosa or anyone else was around, she was appropriately maternal, smiling, gentle, engaged. But when she was alone with the baby, her mask slipped. Marcus watched footage of Vanessa roughly shoving a pacifier into Lily's mouth when she cried, saying, "Take it and be quiet." He saw her leave Lily in wet diapers for hours, ignoring the baby's increasingly distressed cries. He watched her feed Lily carelessly, not bothering to wipe the baby's face properly, letting food smear everywhere, then roughly cleaning it off with harsh motions that made Lily cry. Most disturbingly, he saw her on her phone constantly when she was supposed to be watching Lily, completely disengaged, only paying attention when the baby did something that required intervention. And the things she said when no one was listening made Marcus physically ill. "God, I can't stand you sometimes," Vanessa muttered to Lily one afternoon. "You're so needy. Your mother was supposed to raise you, not me. I didn't sign up for this." Another time, "Stop looking at me like that. You look just like her. It's creepy." And worst of all, captured one evening when Vanessa thought Marcus was still at the office. "You're the only thing standing between me and everything I want. If it weren't for you, I'd already be married, already have access to everything. But no, I have to pretend to care about someone else's brat." Marcus had to pause the footage, his hands shaking with rage. Someone else's brat. That's what Vanessa called his daughter. Jessica's daughter. But the cameras revealed something else too, something Marcus hadn't expected. Rosa wasn't stealing or snooping. Rosa was protecting Lily. Marcus watched hours of footage of Rosa caring for Lily with genuine love and devotion. She sang to her, played with her, responded immediately when she cried. When Vanessa left Lily in dirty diapers, Rosa would find her and change her, murmuring, "Poor baby, how long has she left you like this?" When Vanessa fed Lily carelessly and didn't burp her properly, Rosa would come find the baby and help her, saying, "You have a tummy ache, don't you, mi amor? Let Rosa help." Marcus saw Rosa checking on Lily multiple times throughout the day, even when it wasn't technically her responsibility. He saw her making sure Lily's bottles were properly prepared when Vanessa made them too hot or too cold. He saw her repositioning Lily in her crib when Vanessa had put her down in unsafe positions. Rosa wasn't undermining Vanessa. Rosa was quietly, carefully protecting Lily from Vanessa's neglect. And then Marcus saw something that explained Vanessa's accusations about Rosa going through their bedroom. On the footage from 2 weeks ago, the incident that had prompted Marcus to install cameras in the first place, Marcus watched Rosa enter the master bedroom. But she wasn't snooping. She was looking for something specific. Rosa went directly to Vanessa's nightstand and opened the drawer. She pulled out a bottle of pills, examined the label, took a photo of it with her phone, and put it back. Then she left the room quickly. Marcus zoomed in on the footage, trying to see the pill bottle label. He enhanced the image as much as possible and finally made out the name, alprazolam, and the name on the prescription, Vanessa Chin. Alprazolam. Xanax. An anti-anxiety medication. Why was Rosa taking pictures of Vanessa's prescription medication? Marcus pulled up his contact list and called Rosa directly. "Mr. Reed?" Rosa answered, sounding surprised. He never called her personal number. "Rosa, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be completely honest with me." There was a pause. "Of course, sir. 2 weeks ago, you went into the master bedroom and photographed a pill bottle from Vanessa's nightstand. Why?" Rosa's breath caught. "Who? You have cameras? You've been watching?" "Rosa, please. Just tell me why you took that photo." Another pause, longer this time. When Rosa spoke, her voice was careful. "Mr. Reed, I noticed that sometimes Miss Vanessa seems confused. Her words slur. She seems unsteady. And I've seen her taking pills from that bottle several times a day. More than prescribed, I think. I was worried, so I took a photo to research the medication to see if she was taking too much." "And?" Marcus prompted. "The prescription was for 30 pills, to be taken as needed for anxiety, maximum 2 per day," Rosa said. "But Mr. Reed, I've seen her take at least 4 or 5 pills a day. Sometimes more. And I checked. The prescription was filled 10 days before I took that photo, and the bottle was already almost empty." Marcus's mind raced. Vanessa was abusing her anxiety medication? That would explain the mood swings, the irritability, the occasional slurred speech he'd attributed to tiredness. "Rosa, why didn't you tell me?" "I tried," Rosa said, her voice breaking. "I tried to talk to Miss Vanessa about it privately, to suggest she might need help. But she became very angry. She accused me of snooping, of trying to undermine her. She told me if I said anything to you, she would make sure I was fired. And Mr. Reed, I need this job. I have grandchildren I support. I couldn't risk." "It's okay," Marcus interrupted. "Rosa, I understand. Thank you for being honest with me." After he hung up, Marcus sat in his car outside his office building, trying to process everything. Vanessa was abusing prescription medication. She was neglectful toward Lily. She was cruel when she thought no one was watching. She'd lied about Rosa to try to get her fired, presumably because Rosa had witnessed things Vanessa didn't want Marcus to know about. And Marcus had been about to marry this woman. About to make her Lily's stepmother. About to give her legal rights over his daughter. He thought about Jessica, about the wife he'd lost. Jessica had been kind, genuinely kind. She would have been horrified by how Vanessa treated Lily. She would have trusted Rosa's observations and investigated immediately. But Marcus, in his grief and loneliness, had been blind. He'd accepted Vanessa at face value because it was easier than being alone. Because having someone, anyone, felt better than the emptiness Jessica had left behind. He'd been a fool. And his daughter had paid the price. Marcus sat in his car for another hour, watching more camera footage on his phone, documenting everything. Vanessa's rough handling of Lily. Her cruel words. Her neglect. Her pill-taking. He saved everything to multiple cloud accounts, backed it up on external drives. This evidence needed to be preserved. Then he called his lawyer. David, I need you to draft something for me. Termination of engagement. I need it ironclad. And I need a restraining order prepared. I want Vanessa Chin prohibited from having any contact with my daughter. His lawyer was silent for a moment. Marcus, what's happened? I'll send you video files, Marcus said. Watch them. All of them. Then you'll understand. That night, Marcus came home to find Vanessa in the living room, scrolling through wedding magazines. She looked up and smiled when he entered. Marcus, I'm so glad you're home. I found the most beautiful venue for the reception. Look. We need to talk, Marcus said, his voice flat. Something in his tone made Vanessa's smile falter. Is everything okay? No, Vanessa. Everything is not okay. He pulled out his laptop and set it on the coffee table. With a few clicks, he brought up the footage from the nursery. Vanessa roughly handling Lily, telling her to shut up, leaving her crying. Vanessa's face went white. Marcus, I can explain. Explain what? Marcus said, his voice dangerously quiet. Explain how you've been abusing my daughter when you thought no one was watching? Explain how you've been lying to me? Explain how you tried to frame Rosa for theft to cover up your own behavior. I haven't been abusing anyone. Vanessa protested. Marcus, you're taking things out of context. Caring for a baby is stressful, and sometimes I get frustrated. That doesn't mean. Marcus clicked to another video. Vanessa telling Lily she was someone else's brat. Vanessa saying Lily was all that stood between her and everything I want. What did you mean by that? Marcus asked coldly. What is it you want, Vanessa? Vanessa's mask was cracking. Her eyes darted around as if looking for an escape route. I just meant that being a mother is harder than I expected. I was frustrated. People say things they don't mean when they're frustrated. You're not Lily's mother, Marcus said. You never will be. Her mother is dead. And you're just someone who saw an opportunity. That's not fair. I also have footage of you taking excessive amounts of Xanax, Marcus continued. Rosa was right to be concerned. How many pills are you taking a day, Vanessa? For more. Vanessa stood up abruptly. You installed cameras? You've been spying on me? I installed cameras because you convinced me Rosa was stealing, Marcus said. Turns out, the only person in this house who can't be trusted is you. Vanessa's expression shifted then, from defensive to calculating. Marcus, you're upset. I understand. But think about what you're doing. We're engaged. We're planning a wedding. We have a life together. We have nothing together, Marcus said. You were right about one thing though. Lily is standing between you and what you want. What you want is my money, my lifestyle, the social status of being Mrs. Marcus Reed. You never wanted the child that came with the package. I tried. Vanessa said, her voice rising. I tried to love her, Marcus, but she's not mine. She's Jessica's. And every time I look at her, I'm reminded that I'm second choice. That you only want me because Jessica is dead and you needed someone to fill the void. The words hung in the air, ugly and true. You're right, Marcus said quietly. I did need someone to fill the void. And in my grief and loneliness, I turned to you. That was my mistake. But Vanessa, if you'd been honest about your limitations, about your inability to bond with Lily, we could have addressed it. Instead, you pretended. You lied. And you took out your resentment on an innocent baby who never did anything to deserve your cruelty. Vanessa sank back onto the couch, her composure finally breaking completely. What are you going to do? Marcus handed her an envelope. This is a termination of our engagement. The wedding is off. I want you out of this house by tomorrow morning. You'll find a check inside for $25,000, more than generous considering the circumstances. That's all you'll get from me. Vanessa opened the envelope with shaking hands, scanning the legal document inside. "And if I refuse? Then I'll release the video footage to the media," Marcus said calmly. "I'll show the world how you treated a motherless infant. I'll document your prescription drug abuse. I'll destroy your reputation so thoroughly that you'll never work in this city again. Your choice." Vanessa stared at him, and Marcus could see her weighing her options. Finally, she asked, "What about the engagement ring? It's worth $200,000. "Keep it," Marcus said. "Consider it payment for getting out of Lily's life quietly. But Vanessa, if you ever come near my daughter again, if you ever contact her or try to see her, I will use every resource at my disposal to make sure you regret it. Do you understand?" Vanessa nodded slowly, defeat evident in her expression. "I'll be in the nursery with Lily," Marcus said. "Pack your things tonight. Be gone by morning. Rosa will supervise to make sure nothing goes missing." He left Vanessa sitting in the living room and went upstairs to the nursery. Lily was sleeping peacefully in her crib, unaware of the drama unfolding around her. Marcus stood watching her, this beautiful child who looked so much like Jessica, who'd been vulnerable and hurt and he hadn't known. "I'm sorry," he whispered to her. "I'm so sorry I didn't protect you better. I was trying to give you a mother, but I wasn't paying attention to whether that person was actually good for you. That ends now. From now on, it's just you and me, baby girl. And Rosa. Rosa who actually cared about you enough to risk her job to protect you." Marcus called Rosa on her cell phone. "Rosa, I need you to come to the house tonight. I know it's your evening off, but it's important." "Is Miss Lily okay?" Rosa asked immediately, worry in her voice. "Lily's fine," Marcus assured her. "But Vanessa is leaving. Tonight. I need you here to supervise her packing and to make sure she doesn't take anything that doesn't belong to her." There was a sharp intake of breath. "Mr. Reed, you found out?" "I found out everything," Marcus said. "And Rosa, I owe you an apology. You were trying to protect my daughter, and I didn't listen. I let Vanessa convince me you were the problem when really, you were the only person in this house looking out for Lily's best interests besides me." "Mr. Reed, I only did what was right." "You did more than what was required," Marcus interrupted. "And I want to discuss your role in this household. But first, can you come over? I need someone I trust here while Vanessa packs." "I'll be there in 20 minutes, Rosa said without hesitation. True to her word, Rosa arrived quickly. Marcus briefed her on the situation, showed her some of the camera footage. Rosa's face hardened as she watched Vanessa's treatment of Lily. "I knew she was neglectful," Rosa said. "I didn't know she was this cruel. Poor baby. Thank God you found out before the wedding, Mr. Reed." "Thank God I installed those cameras," Marcus agreed. "Rosa, you'll make sure Vanessa only takes her personal belongings?" "Of course," Rosa said. "Mr. Reed, what about Miss Lily tonight? With all this upheaval?" "I'll sleep in the nursery," Marcus decided. "I want to be with her. Tomorrow, we'll establish a new routine. One that doesn't include Vanessa." Rosa nodded approvingly. Then she went downstairs to begin the awkward task of supervising Vanessa's departure. Marcus set up a makeshift bed in the nursery, just blankets and pillows on the floor near Lily's crib. He lay there in the dark, listening to his daughter's soft breathing, thinking about how close he'd come to disaster. If he hadn't installed those cameras, he would have married Vanessa. She would have become Lily's legal stepmother. And Lily would have grown up being mistreated by someone who resented her existence, while Marcus remained oblivious. Jessica, he thought, would have seen through Vanessa immediately. Jessica had been intuitive about people, had trusted her instincts. Marcus had ignored his instincts, had overridden his doubts because he wanted so badly to not be alone. But he wasn't alone. He had Lily. He had Rosa. And he had the memory of Jessica's love, which was worth more than Vanessa's false affection could ever be. Around midnight, Rosa knocked softly on the nursery door. "Mr. Reed?" "She's gone. She took her clothes, her jewelry, her personal items. Nothing else. I watched her pack every box." "Thank you, Rosa," Marcus said. "Go home. Get some rest. We'll talk more tomorrow." After Rosa left, Marcus settled back onto his makeshift bed. Lily stirred in her crib, making the soft sounds babies make in their sleep. Marcus reached up and gently touched her tiny hand through the crib slats. "It's just us now, baby girl," he whispered. "But that's okay. We're going to be okay. I promise I'll do better. I'll pay attention. I'll protect you. I won't let anyone hurt you ever again." Lily's fingers curled around his, the reflexive grip of an infant. But to Marcus, it felt like a promise, a connection between father and daughter that no one else could break. He'd installed cameras to catch a maid he'd been told was stealing. Instead, he'd caught his fiancée abusing his child and discovered that the maid was actually the hero of the story. Sometimes, Marcus thought as he drifted off to sleep, the truth is the exact opposite of what we're told. Sometimes the person we trust is the threat, and the person we suspect is the protector. Tomorrow, he would begin rebuilding his life with new priorities. Lily first, always. Work second. And if someday he found love again, it would be with someone who truly loved his daughter, not someone who saw her as an obstacle. But for tonight, he would sleep on the floor of his daughter's nursery, guarding her, keeping her safe, grateful for the cameras that had revealed the truth before it was too late. Marcus woke to the sound of Lily babbling happily in her crib. Sunlight was streaming through the nursery windows, and for a moment he was disoriented. Why was he sleeping on the floor? Then the memories of last night came flooding back. Vanessa, the videos, the confrontation, her departure. He sat up, his back aching from the hard floor, and peered over the crib railing. Lily was lying on her back, her chubby legs kicking the air, talking to herself in the nonsensical language of babies. When she saw Marcus's face, she broke into a huge grin, reaching up toward him. "Good morning, sweet girl," Marcus said, lifting her out of the crib. He checked her diaper, dry and clean. Rosa must have come in early to change her without waking him. "Let's get you some breakfast." He carried Lily downstairs to find Rosa already in the kitchen, preparing a bottle and baby food. She looked up when Marcus entered, her expression warm but concerned. "Mr. Reed, I didn't want to wake you. You looked exhausted. I changed Miss Lily about an hour ago." "Rosa," Marcus said, settling Lily into her high chair, "we need to talk. But first, thank you. For everything. For protecting Lily. For staying vigilant even when I wouldn't listen to your concerns." Rosa waved her hand dismissively. "That is my job, Mr. Reed. To care for this household and the people in it." "No," Marcus said firmly. "Your job is housekeeper. What you did went far beyond that. You risked your employment to protect my daughter. That's not in any job description." He took a deep breath. "Rosa, I want to offer you a new position. Not as housekeeper, I'll hire someone else for the cleaning and maintenance. I want you to be Lily's full-time nanny. Her primary caregiver besides me. Someone I can trust completely to have her best interests at heart." Rosa's eyes widened. "Mr. Reed, I'm honored, but I'm not trained as a nanny." "You love my daughter," Marcus interrupted. "You're attentive, responsible, and you've already proven you'll protect her even when it costs you something. That's more important than any formal training. Please, Rosa, I need someone I can trust. And Lily needs consistency, especially after." He trailed off, not wanting to say Vanessa's name. Rosa's eyes filled with tears. "Of course, Mr. Reed. It would be my honor to care for Miss Lily. She is a precious child. She reminds me so much of my own granddaughter back in Mexico." "Then it's settled," Marcus said. "We'll make it official. Substantial raise, new contract, benefits, everything proper. And Rosa, I want you to know that if you ever have concerns about anything, about Lily, about anyone I might bring into our lives in the future, about anything at all, I will listen. I will take you seriously. I failed to do that with Vanessa, and it almost cost Lily dearly. Never again." Over the following weeks, Marcus and Rosa established a new routine. Marcus had cleared his schedule, delegating most of his work responsibilities so he could spend more time at home. He was present for Lily's morning routine, her meals, her playtime. He gave her baths in the evening, read her stories, rocked her to sleep. For the first time since Jessica's death, Marcus felt like he was actually being a father instead of just managing the logistics of having a child. And he watched Lily flourish. Without Vanessa's neglect and casual cruelty, the baby became more cheerful, more engaged. She laughed more. She was more comfortable being held. She seemed happier overall. Marcus also noticed things he'd missed before. Small bruises on Lily's arms that he'd attributed to normal baby clumsiness. Now he wondered if they'd come from Vanessa's rough handling. The way Lily had sometimes flinched when Vanessa reached for her, a response Marcus had dismissed but now recognized as a baby who'd learned that touch could mean discomfort. The guilt ate at him. He'd been so blind, so eager to believe Vanessa was the solution to his loneliness, that he'd missed signs that his own daughter was being mistreated. One afternoon, Marcus was in his office reviewing the security footage from the past few weeks. He'd kept the cameras active, not because he distrusted Rosa, but because he wanted to understand the full extent of what had happened while he'd been oblivious. What he found made him feel even worse. There were hours of footage of Rosa quietly correcting Vanessa's neglect, checking on Lily after Vanessa had left her crying, feeding her properly after Vanessa had done it carelessly, soothing her when she was distressed. Rosa had essentially been providing a second layer of childcare, compensating for Vanessa's inadequacies, all while pretending to just be doing her housekeeping duties. Marcus also found footage of Vanessa that he hadn't seen before. Moments when she'd been on her phone, having hushed conversations. He turned up the audio and listened. "No, the wedding's still on," Vanessa was saying to someone. "3 more months and I'll legally be his wife. Then it doesn't matter if the kid likes me or not, I'll have rights to everything." Marcus felt sick. So it had been about money all along. Not even subtle about it when she thought no one was listening. Another clip. Jessica was such an idiot. She could have had this life forever, and she wasted it being a doting mother. "Once I'm married to Marcus, I'm getting a full-time nanny and I'm never changing another diaper. Let the help deal with the brat." Marcus forced himself to watch more. The evidence was overwhelming. Vanessa had never cared about Lily, had actively resented her, and had been planning to essentially abandon her to staff once the marriage was secured. But there was more footage that caught Marcus's attention. Several instances of Vanessa meeting with a man Marcus didn't recognize. A younger guy, probably in his late 20s, good-looking in a too smooth way. The meetings happened when Marcus was at work, always brief, always ending with Vanessa kissing this man in a way that was definitely not platonic. So Vanessa had been cheating too. Perfect. Not that it mattered now. She was gone, and Marcus had no intention of ever speaking to her again. He was about to close the footage when he noticed something strange in one of the videos. Vanessa was in the master bedroom, talking on the phone to someone. Marcus turned up the audio. "Told you, I'm being careful." He has no idea about the insurance policy. "When the time is right, after we're married, we'll make it look like an accident." "Yes, I'm sure. Marcus trusts me completely." He's so desperate to replace his dead wife that he doesn't question anything. Marcus's blood ran cold. Insurance policy? Make what look like an accident? He frantically searched through more footage, trying to find other conversations. Finally, he found one from 2 weeks ago. "The policy is for $5 million, Vanessa was saying. "But I can't do anything until we're married. After the wedding, we wait maybe 6 months for appearances, then we arrange the accident. Marcus is always traveling for business. It'll be easy to stage something. A car accident, maybe. Or something at one of those construction sites he's always visiting." The man's voice on the other end of the line said something Marcus couldn't hear clearly. "What about the kid?" Vanessa replied. "What about her? She's not mine. After Marcus is dead, I'll put her in boarding school or something. Get her out of the way. I didn't sign up to raise someone else's brat for the next 18 years. Marcus had to pause the video. He felt like he was going to be sick. Vanessa hadn't just been planning to neglect Lily. She'd been planning to kill Marcus and get rid of his daughter entirely. He'd nearly married a woman who was plotting his murder. With shaking hands, Marcus saved all the footage, created multiple backups, and called his lawyer. "David, I need you to listen to something. And then I need you to tell me if what I'm hearing is what I think it is." Marcus played the audio of Vanessa's phone conversations. There was a long silence after it finished. "Marcus," David said carefully, "are you asking me if your ex-fiancée was planning to kill you for insurance money?" Yes. Then yes. That's exactly what this sounds like. Marcus, you need to take this to the police. This isn't just a civil matter anymore. This is conspiracy to commit murder. Marcus had never intended to go to the police. He'd been content to let Vanessa leave quietly, to end the relationship and move on with his life. But this changed everything. If Vanessa was willing to plot his murder, who else might she target? What other wealthy, grieving man might she latch onto, seduce, and eventually kill? That afternoon, Marcus met with Detective Sarah Chen at the police department. He brought copies of all the footage, not just the conversations about the insurance policy, but also the evidence of Lily's mistreatment, the drug abuse, all of it. Detective Chen watched the videos with an increasingly grim expression. When the footage ended, she looked at Marcus seriously. Mr. Reed, this is serious. We have evidence of conspiracy to commit murder, insurance fraud, child endangerment, and prescription drug abuse. I need to ask, did you take out a life insurance policy with Vanessa as the beneficiary? No, Marcus said. She kept suggesting it. Said it was practical, that we should both have policies on each other. But I never followed through. Something about it felt wrong. Your instincts probably saved your life, Detective Chen said. Without an actual policy in place, she couldn't have collected anything. She would have had to kill you for nothing, which might have stopped her, or might have just made her angry. What happens now? Marcus asked. Now we investigate, the detective said. We'll want to identify the man she was talking to. We'll look into her background, see if there's a pattern of this behavior. And Mr. Reed, I have to ask, where is Vanessa now? I don't know, Marcus admitted. She left my house 3 weeks ago. I gave her money to leave quietly. I haven't heard from her since. We'll need to track her down, Detective Chen said. In the meantime, I want you to be careful. If Vanessa realizes you've gone to the police, she might become desperate. Desperate people do unpredictable things. Marcus left the police station feeling shaken. He'd thought the worst was over when Vanessa left. Now he realized he'd been in much more danger than he'd known. He called Rosa from his car. Rosa, I need you to do something for me. I need you to make sure all the doors and windows at the house are locked. Don't let anyone in that you don't recognize. And stay close to Lily. Don't leave her alone, even for a moment. Mr. Reed, what's wrong? Rosa asked, alarm in her voice. I'll explain when I get home. Just please be vigilant. I'll be there in 20 minutes. When Marcus arrived home, he found Rosa in the living room with Lily, the baby playing with blocks on the floor while Rosa sat nearby. All the curtains were drawn, all the doors locked. Rosa, I need to tell you something, Marcus said. He explained about the footage he'd found, about Vanessa's plot to kill him, about his visit to the police. Rosa's face went pale. Dios mío. Mr. Reed, she was planning to murder you? Yes. And then she was planning to get rid of Lily, send her to boarding school, essentially abandon her. Rosa, I'm telling you this because if Vanessa is desperate or angry enough, she might come back here. If you see her, if she tries to contact you or approach the house, you call 911 immediately. Don't try to talk to her. Don't engage with her. Just call the police. Of course, Rosa said, pulling Lily closer protectively. Mr. Reed, perhaps we should go somewhere else for a while? Somewhere Miss Vanessa doesn't know about? Marcus considered this. Maybe you're right. Let me make some calls. That evening, Marcus moved Rosa and Lily to a secure apartment he owned across town, one that Vanessa didn't know about. He hired a security guard to watch the building entrance. He installed additional security cameras. He took every precaution he could think of. And then he waited. 2 days later, Detective Chen called. We found her. Vanessa Chen is in custody. And Mr. Reed, you're going to want to hear this. At the police station, Detective Chen briefed Marcus on what they discovered. Vanessa Chen isn't even her real name. She's actually Vanessa Richardson. She has a history, 3 previous engagements to wealthy men, all of which ended abruptly. One of those men died in a suspicious car accident 6 months after their wedding. His widow, Vanessa, collected a $2 million life insurance payout. Marcus felt like the floor had dropped out from under him. She's done this before? She's killed before? We're investigating, Detective Chen said. The car accident was ruled accidental at the time, but we're reopening the case. We've also identified the man she was talking to in your footage. His name is Derek Morrison, and he's her actual boyfriend. Has been for 5 years. They work together. She finds wealthy targets, seduces them, marries them, and then they stage accidents to collect insurance money. And I was just the latest mark, Marcus said numbly. It appears so, the detective confirmed. Mr. Reed, if you hadn't installed those cameras, if you hadn't discovered what was happening, we believe you would have been dead within a year of marrying her. Marcus thought about that. Within a year, he would have been dead, and Lily would have been left in the care of a woman who actively hated her. Or worse, sent away to boarding school, essentially orphaned despite having a living stepmother. What happens to Vanessa now? Marcus asked. She's being charged with conspiracy to commit murder for your case. We're also pursuing charges related to the death of her first husband. Mr. Reed, this is going to be a long process. There will be trials, testimony. Are you prepared for that? Whatever it takes to make sure she never hurts anyone else, Marcus said. Over the following months, the case against Vanessa Richardson made headlines. Black Widow killer caught before she could strike again. Hidden cameras save billionaire's life. Grieving widow targeted by gold-digging murderer. Marcus hated the publicity, hated having his private life dissected in the media. But he cooperated fully with the investigation, providing all the footage he'd recorded, testifying about Vanessa's behavior toward Lily, explaining how Rosa had tried to warn him. The trial was brutal. Vanessa's defense attorney tried to paint Marcus as a paranoid man who'd misinterpreted innocent conversations. But the evidence was overwhelming. Not just the footage from Marcus's house, but evidence from the previous death, testimony from Derek Morrison who'd turned state's witness, phone records, financial documents showing the insurance policies Vanessa had taken out on previous partners. The jury deliberated for only 4 hours before returning a guilty verdict on all counts. Vanessa Richardson was sentenced to life in prison without possibility of parole. As she was led from the courtroom, Vanessa looked directly at Marcus. "You ruined everything," she hissed. "You and that brat. If it weren't for her, you never would have installed those cameras. You never would have known." "You're right," Marcus said calmly. "My daughter saved my life. Because I installed cameras to protect her, I discovered what you really were. She saved us both." After the trial ended, Marcus finally felt like he could breathe again. Vanessa was in prison. The threat was over. He could focus on rebuilding his life with Lily. He'd sold the mansion, too many bad memories, too much association with Vanessa. Instead, he'd bought a smaller, more manageable house in a family-friendly neighborhood. Rosa had her own suite in the house, officially part of the family now as Lily's nanny and Marcus's most trusted friend. One evening, about 6 months after Vanessa's conviction, Marcus was giving Lily her bath. She was 18 months old now, talking in simple sentences, full of personality and joy. "Daddy, Bubbles?" Lily squealed, splashing the bathwater. "Yes, Bubbles," Marcus laughed, watching his daughter play. She looked so much like Jessica, the same dark hair, the same bright eyes, the same joyful spirit. Marcus had photos of Jessica all over the house now, wanting Lily to know her mother even though she'd never remember her. "Rosa," Marcus called out. "Can you bring me the towel?" Rosa appeared with a fluffy towel, smiling at Lily's antics. "Miss Lily, you're getting water everywhere." "Bubbles, Rosa. See Bubbles." Lily showed off her soapy hands. After Lily was clean, dried, and in her pajamas, Marcus carried her downstairs for bedtime stories. This was his favorite part of the day, cuddling with his daughter, reading to her, watching her drift off to sleep in his arms. Tonight's book was one Jessica had loved, a story about a little girl and her father going on adventures together. Marcus read slowly, savoring each word, noticing how Lily's eyes grew heavier with each page. By the last page, she was asleep. Marcus carried her to her crib, still in his room, because he wasn't quite ready for her to be in a separate bedroom yet, and laid her down gently. He stood there watching her sleep, thinking about everything that had happened. Jessica's death. His desperate loneliness. Vanessa's manipulation. The cameras that had saved them both. Rosa's quiet heroism. The trial. The new beginning. "I hope I'm doing right by you, Jess," Marcus whispered to his late wife. "I know I made terrible mistakes. I let that woman into our home, into our daughter's life. I almost got myself killed and left Lily alone. But I'm trying to do better. I'm trying to be the father you would have wanted for her." He felt no answer, of course. Just the quiet of the house and his daughter's soft breathing. But somehow Marcus felt peace. He'd faced his mistakes, learned from them, and come out stronger. Rosa appeared in the doorway. "She's asleep?" "Just now," Marcus confirmed. "Rosa, sit with me for a minute?" They went to the living room and sat on the comfortable couch Marcus had bought. Nothing like the formal, expensive furniture in the mansion. This house was meant to be lived in, not showcased. "I've been thinking," Marcus said, "about everything that happened. And I realized I never properly thanked you. Not just for caring for Lily, but for seeing what I couldn't see. For protecting her when I was too blind to realize she needed protecting. Mr. Reed, you've thanked me many times." "Let me finish," Marcus interrupted gently. "Rosa, you risked your job, your livelihood, to protect my daughter. You tried to warn me about Vanessa even though you knew it might cost you everything. That's not just doing your job. That's love. You love Lily like she's your own." Rosa's eyes filled with tears. "She is like my own, Mr. Reed. When I look at her, I see my own granddaughter who I miss so much. And I see Miss Jessica, who was always so kind to me. How could I not protect this precious child? I want to make you more than just Lily's nanny," Marcus said. "I want to make you her legal guardian. If anything happens to me, an accident, an illness, anything, I want to know that Lily will be cared for by someone who truly loves her. Will you accept that responsibility?" Rosa covered her mouth with her hand, tears flowing freely now. "Mr. Reed, that is such an honor." "Are you sure?" "I've never been more sure of anything," Marcus said. "You've already proven you'll put Lily's welfare above everything else. You're the only person besides me I trust completely with her future. Please, Rosa, be Lily's guardian. Be her grandmother in all the ways that matter." "Yes," Rosa whispered. "Yes, of course. It would be my greatest honor." They sat together in comfortable silence, two people who'd become family through crisis and trust and love. Outside, the sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. Inside, Lily slept peacefully, safe and loved and protected. Marcus thought about the cameras he'd installed, the surveillance system that had revealed so much more than he'd expected. He'd thought he was catching a thief. Instead, he'd caught a would-be murderer and discovered a hero. The cameras were still active throughout the house. But Marcus no longer watched them obsessively. He didn't need to. He knew Rosa could be trusted. He knew his home was safe. He knew Lily was loved. Sometimes he'd review footage just to watch Lily's milestones, her first steps, her first words, her laughter and play. The cameras that had once revealed horror now captured joy. A year later, Marcus stood in the backyard of his home, watching Lily play in a sandbox. She was 2.5 now, full of energy and curiosity. Rosa sat nearby, ready to intervene if Lily needed help but giving her space to explore. Marcus had started dating again, carefully, slowly, with extensive background checks and a determination to never be fooled again. He'd met a woman named Sarah, a kindergarten teacher who'd been widowed young and understood grief. She was kind to Lily, patient with Marcus's caution, willing to take things slow. But Marcus had learned his lesson. He watched how Sarah treated Lily when she thought Marcus wasn't paying attention. He'd even shown Sarah the camera footage from Vanessa, explaining why he was so careful, why he needed to be sure. Sarah had understood. "I have a son," she'd said. "If someone treated him the way Vanessa treated Lily, I'd want them in prison too. Marcus, I don't blame you for being cautious. Take all the time you need. I'm not going anywhere." That patience, that understanding, made Marcus think she might be someone worth trusting. But he was taking it slow. Lily came first. "Boys. Daddy. Look." Lily called out, holding up a bucket of sand. "Castle." "That's a beautiful castle, sweetheart," Marcus called back. Rosa smiled at him. She's happy, Mr. Reed. That's all that matters. She is, Marcus agreed. We both are. Rosa, I know I've said this before, but I need to say it again. Thank you. For everything. For saving us both. You saved yourself, Mr. Reed, Rosa said. When you installed those cameras, when you finally looked at what was really happening in your home, you saved yourself and Miss Lily. I just did what any person would do when they see a child in need. No, Marcus said. Not any person. Vanessa proved that. She saw a child as an obstacle, something to be removed. You saw Lily as someone precious worth protecting. That made all the difference. That night, after Lily was asleep, Marcus sat in his office and pulled up the security footage from 2 years ago, the footage that had changed everything. He watched Vanessa's cruelty toward Lily, her casual neglect, her plotting conversations. He watched Rosa's quiet heroism, her constant vigilance, her love. And he thought about how close he'd come to disaster. If he'd married Vanessa, he'd likely be dead now. Lily would have been sent away, essentially abandoned. All the joy of the past 2 years, watching Lily grow, bonding with his daughter, finding peace after Jessica's death, none of it would have happened. The cameras had saved him. But more than that, they'd shown him the truth, that the person he'd suspected was actually protecting his child, and the person he'd trusted was planning his murder. Sometimes the truth is the opposite of what we believe. Sometimes the villain wears a beautiful smile and whispers words of love while plotting betrayal. Sometimes the hero is quiet and unassuming, protecting from the shadows without expecting recognition or reward. Marcus had learned to look beyond surfaces, to question his assumptions, to trust evidence over his desperate desire to believe. He closed the laptop and went to Lily's room. She was sleeping peacefully, her favorite stuffed animal clutched in her arms. Marcus gently kissed her forehead. "You saved me, baby girl," he whispered. "By being vulnerable, by needing protection, you gave me a reason to pay attention. You're my hero." Lily stirred slightly but didn't wake. Marcus stood there for a long moment, watching his daughter sleep, feeling grateful for every day he had with her, days he nearly lost, days he might never have had if not for a surveillance system that revealed the truth. The billionaire had installed cameras to catch the maid. But what the cameras caught instead was a fiancé plotting murder, abusing an infant, and planning to destroy his family. The cameras revealed that the maid was actually the protector, the unsung hero who risked everything to save a child she wasn't related to but loved anyway. Sometimes we look for danger in the wrong places. Sometimes we trust the wrong people and suspect the right ones. Sometimes we need technology to show us what our hearts want to deny. Marcus had been blind. But the cameras had helped him see. And what he'd seen had saved his life, protected his daughter, and shown him who was truly worthy of his trust. As Marcus finally headed to bed, he felt something he hadn't felt in years: peace. Not the absence of grief, he'd always missed Jessica. But peace in knowing he was exactly where he needed to be, with the people who truly mattered. Rosa was asleep in her suite, the woman who'd become grandmother to Lily and trusted friend to Marcus. Lily was asleep in her crib, safe and loved and thriving. And Marcus was alive, present, engaged in his daughter's life in ways he'd never imagined before crisis forced him to change. The cameras had revealed horror. But they'd also revealed love. And in the end, love had won. Sometimes that's all you can ask for, that when the truth is finally revealed, love is stronger than betrayal, protection stronger than malice, and family, whether by blood or choice, stronger than anything that tries to destroy it. Marcus turned off the lights and closed his eyes, knowing that tomorrow would bring new joys, new challenges, new opportunities to be the father Lily deserved and the man Jessica would have been proud of. The cameras would keep recording, faithfully documenting their lives. But Marcus no longer watched them with suspicion and fear. Now they were just a record of ordinary moments made extraordinary by love, a father and daughter building a life together, supported by a woman who'd proven that heroism doesn't require recognition, just a willingness to do what's right even when no one is watching. Except someone had been watching. The cameras had seen everything. And because they had, Marcus and Lily were safe, together, and building a future worth recording.